Congressman Nunes, I want to start with you. Obviously, you're not a supporter of Obamacare in particular, but why would you call your fellow Republicans lemmings with suicide vests? What's the issue here?
Well, thank you for having me on. A few months ago, back in my district and in Washington, I started hearing this strategy that was laid out that shut down the government, don't fund Obamacare, and don't stop until Obamacare is ended. And I thought from the beginning that that was really couldn't be done. And it's really just a matter of math, right? Because
you don't have the Senate and you don't have the White House.
Right, and you would need technically, and it's not even, what some of my constituents were saying, well, we only need 5 senators. Well, as the folks here in Washington know, you need 60 votes just to end debate, and it took 60 votes to implement Obamacare. And I just don't think as long as there's a guy named Obama in the White House that you're going to get rid of Obamacare without a veto. So assuming that you got the 60 votes, assuming President Obama vetoed the bill, which he would, you then need 67 votes in the United States Senate and 290 votes in the House. So it's just a matter of math. It was a silly strategy from the beginning. And this whole lemming issue came up because one of my colleagues, who I was having a direct conversation with, decided to leak it outside of the room. And so I walked out, and they asked me about it. So that's how it got out public.
But you said it, right? I mean, lemmings.
You think it's bad for the Republican Party?
Yeah, well, it's crazy. I don't understand the whole point, the whole strategy. Most Americans don't understand it. But look, I have supported it. I will support our leadership because part of this problem in this whole group that I refer to, this has been ongoing for 3 years, where they've continued to block our leadership for 3 years to get 218 votes.
The lemming caucus, you're talking about Tea Party caucus.
Well, it's not Tea Party caucus,
no.
Not at all. It's a lemming caucus. It's guys who meet privately. They're always conspiring. It's mostly just about power, and it's just gotten us nowhere.
But if that's the case, and if they're lemmings, and if you actually understand simple math that you can't get this done, then why not be more aggressive? I mean, I know that there's sort of a growing number of people like you who want to have pass a clean bill to fund the government and just move on.
A clear majority of the Republican Party in the House, right?
It seems that way. So why not put your vote where your mouth is?
Well, because well, first of all, you have to vote on what's in front of you.
But why not get John Boehner can put whatever he wants in front of you?
So if you want to do that and start bringing down rules, basically, is what you're talking about. You're talking about doing the same thing that got us in this mess in the first place. So the leadership made a decision to take the position that we are going to take the Ted Cruz strategy, and we're not going to fund the government until we get rid of Obama.
Why do you think Boehner did that? I mean, his original inclination back last spring was, we're not going to do that.
He said in March exactly what he said.
Exactly,
the votes aren't there.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. We'll keep voting against Obamacare, but we're not going to shut down the government.
So then why the change of mind?
Because we had a majority of Republicans who had went home and gave some indication to their constituents that there was some magical way to get rid of Obamacare by not funding the government. That's why this happened. And I have a responsibility to tell the truth to my constituents, and that's what I've been doing.
And you, again, just to reiterate, you would like to repeal Obamacare.
Well, I mean, I've been one of the leaders on health care, and I think that's actually one of the problems in the Congress right now, especially with this Cruz strategy, is that I would have respect for people if they were coming up with solutions to our nation's health care problems. Because if really the problem is debt, and people are worried about Obamacare because we're going to go bankrupt and we have $17 trillion in debt. You guys know all the talking points. But it's true, we have a debt problem. But the debt problem was here before Obamacare. Obamacare made it much worse by throwing more people onto Medicaid, and Medicare is going broke for our seniors. So some of us, myself, Senator Coburn, Paul Ryan, we did with Senator Burr, we actually put out where every American would, a plan that every American would have health care. Every American would have health care. And now all of a sudden, people are attacking me for being for Obamacare. I don't think so.
Can I just ask you, you said you're obviously upset with the strategy. You think that John Boehner was forced into this, which, let's face it, I think he was. Candidly, are you supporting John Boehner in the strategy because if he relents, he's toast?
No, I think it's this.
I mean, honestly, you really don't think so?
For 3 years, we had problems getting 218 votes. So John Boehner said, okay, we'll take this Ted Cruz strategy. You guys went out for 2 months. You made these commitments. We'll take it. We'll implement it. And now here we are. It's fully implemented.
But you could pass this with bipartisan support. Why not, if you know that the votes are there for with Republicans and Democrats. Why not say to the Speaker, put this on the floor, get bipartisan support, have it pass that way, and move on?
Because you still have Republicans in our caucus who believe that if we continue down this path and we stay firm and we hold tight, that Harry Reid and President Obama are going to relent and we're going to be able to...
Do you believe that at all?
Absolutely not. I don't believe that.
Let's talk about Ted Cruz for 1 second, just because you raised him, because the House is following a strategy a lot of people feel that Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas, suggested. Because Dana and Gloria, you guys have been doing some reporting. There was a meeting today of Republicans in the Senate, and a lot of Ted Cruz's colleagues, I think, are even less happy with him than you sound.
Well, they handed it to him. I was told that there was, they were meeting, and that most Republican senators, I was told by a Republican source in the room, spoke out against him. And this is what one source said to me. Cruz was completely unapologetic about the ads that he is featured in on the Senate Conservatives Fund website that attack other Republicans. That's what they're mad about. He sees himself as the only truly pure Republican. His colleagues are furious. He has no successful strategy, but has managed to generate grassroots support.
That's a Republican senator who told you that?
Right.
But here's the thing. A Republican senator who told you that anonymously. He wouldn't give his or her name, and this seems to be one of the issues.
But was in this meeting.
But I'm just saying, the people in this town, I hear a lot of Republicans who are willing to criticize Ted Cruz. I'm not talking about you, obviously, because you just did it on TV, but who are willing to criticize Ted Cruz, but not put their name to it.
I think you'll see more and more, actually,
but there's a reason for that. You know this. There's a reason for that. The reason that they're not willing to put their name to it is because they don't want to get a primary. He is incredibly powerful and popular.
How does that happen,
Am I wrong?
by the way?
I mean, you were just talking about the fact that you heard it back home this summer.
Yeah, look, I think Ted Cruz is one of the best politicians that's come around in a long time. He's able to rally the base. He's got a lot of money that he's generated. There's a lot of consultants making money off of this, and there's lots of TV ads going on. The problem with it is, it's one thing to be good at politics, it's another thing to be not good at strategy.
Why are you not worried about getting primaried?
Well, look, my whole career, I made a career of just being honest with constituents, trying to come up with solutions to America's problems, and putting them out there and trying to explain those to my constituents and trying to work on those issues.
What do you think of this piecemeal strategy that the House Republicans have had, which is refund the government,
but go after the parts that we put on TV,
piece by piece,
NIH,
by what?
So you're not going after kids with cancer,
so the cuts
Veterans Affairs, the parks, so you have the World War II
so
veterans.
take away all the unpopular cuts. But
as much as we think, well, no, I think this is, now that we have made the jump, set ourselves on fire and made the jump, we are now in the valley of death. We decided to go into the valley. We have to run together. We have to stay together in order to fight the onslaught that's coming from the White House.
I think we're mixing our metaphors
but that doesn't that seem crazy?
So
wait a minute. We're in the valley of death. We jumped over
but doesn't it seem crazy that you're calling it setting yourself on fire in the valley of death, and you're running on fire in the valley of death voluntarily just to stick together? If you don't think it's the right thing to do.
You don't have 218 votes in the House.
But you do.
But Dana keeps saying you do, right?
No. If the Republican Party does not hold 218 votes in the House, we have nothing. And that's what this small group in the House, has been blocking us for 3 years, and I am not going to be like them.
How many Republicans, how many of your fellow House Republicans do you think agree with you?
200.
Really? Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people have been coming up to you and saying, attaboy, or I agree with you.
Look, nobody likes to criticize fellow Republicans, especially myself, but this is a case where somebody decided to leak, private conversations, and so I was forced to basically come out and defend myself.
And tell what you really believe to be the truth. I mean, so what does this do to the Republican Party? I mean, here you are kind of split open in public, disagreeing. You say you have 200 votes to do something they're not going to do.
Well, the key was we should have had this fight on the debt ceiling, not on the CR, not on the appropriations bill.
Not on funding the government.
Not on funding the government, right. So especially, even if you were going to do it on funding the government, you don't pick the same day that Obamacare is rolled out.
Yeah.
Because one thing that we know about this White House, and we know about Harry Reid in the Senate, is they're going to use everything that we give them, which is they're going to easily say, well, the reason we're having these problems is because the Republicans shut the government down.